It's no secret that Terraria's mana system sucks. The game even tells you, hey, you know what the best mages do? They equip the accessory that completely ignores the mana system. God, please do not try to interact with it. And there are all sorts of reasons why. The biggest one is that it punishes you for doing what you have to play the game. You need to consume mana to cast spells, but to get it back, either you have to stop using magic weapons for a while, or drink mana potions, which debuff your damage. Most players just accept the damage loss and unhappily chug mana potions. Others might prefer the mana regeneration potion, which has the exciting gameplay loop of not doing anything for a couple of seconds. Neither one is fun. Magic weapons are set up to have periods of normal damage and periods of lower damage, and they don't feel great to use during those low damage periods. You can swap to a non-magic weapon when you're regenerating mana, but honestly, at that point, I'd rather be using that weapon the entire time and avoid the hassle. If I'm playing Mage, I want to use magic weapons. But there is another option, a way to recover mana that doesn't require any of that. In theory, you could keep a constant supply of mana without ever having to stop attacking and without getting mana sickness. No DPS downtime, you've just gotta stab yourself. A lot. The magic cuffs and their upgrade, the celestial cuffs, give you mana whenever you take damage. The mana you get back is equal to the damage you would have taken before defense and damage reduction. That's it. If you take damage, you get mana. Your defense determines how much more mana you get than the HP you lost, and it doesn't matter what deals that damage. Enemies, bosses, lava, spikes, traps, you can use anything. It turns the mana system into something that you are actively interacting with and doesn't feel like you're just getting slapped in the face. Instead of doing the same dodging loops and trying to get hit as little as possible, you're doing the opposite. You're trying to find the opportunities where you can get hit. You're walking around going, okay, how can I hurt myself here? Spikes, bees, lava, lasers? If it doesn't kill me, hit me. I need mana. I really like using cuffs. They're the main thing that makes me actually enjoy using magic weapons. I just did a playthrough using them a few days ago if you want to go see what they're like and how to use them. But let's address the elephant in the room. This is Tony, and Tony agrees that mana sucks. He has a lot of fun with magic cuffs too. At face value, magic cuffs are pretty clunky to use. You're taking one of the squishiest classes in the game and trying to take damage as frequently as you can without dying. It shouldn't work, but the fact that it can is what makes it so fun. Defense goes a long way, and if you go a little out of your way to build stupid setups that let you abuse them for huge amounts of mana, they can be absurdly efficient. Let's take the Old One's army. If you put down a spike and get a bunch of defense, you effectively have unlimited mana. This is spike cuffs. You're constantly getting hit for 60 damage, defense reduces that to 1 damage, and your mana never drops below the maximum. You can build arenas out of spikes to do the same thing. If you're using spikes, you'll want to get an Ankh shield since that'll negate the bleeding debuff. You gotta get on that Sigma mana grind set. If you're ever touching the ground during a boss fight, that ground could be spikes. You could be getting mana for free. You need mana on the moons, invasions, pillars. Just cut yourself, you bleed mana. It's free. Nobody ever tells you that you could just get free mana. If you don't have enough spikes, you can craft sharp spike blocks. They do a little more damage, but you get a lot more spikes per spike. You can also space out the spikes a bit so that you're not constantly on top of them. Spikes deal 60 damage regardless of difficulty, so this is a little hard to pull off on Expert and Classic because defense is less effective on those difficulties. It's also tough in pre-hard mode, but if you use an Obsidian Rose, you take almost no damage from lava, which means lava cuffs. Just take a dip in liquid mana anytime you need to recharge. You could also get banners from statues and spawn random enemies all over the place during fights. Because of the banner, they're gonna do like 1 damage per hit, but you recover a ton of mana each time you touch them. They're basically flying mana batteries. In fact, if you do this with the Ankh shield, you'll get back mana each time you touch a bat, and if it gives you Feral Bite, you'll get a 20% damage buff too. Stuff like that is stupid, but very fun to do. You don't have to use cuffs like that. Most people think of Mage being very squishy, but it doesn't have to be. With jungle armor and warding reforges, you'll be boasting a lot of defense pre-hard mode, and it's a little cursed, but you can make tank mage setups in hard mode. This is what I was using at endgame in my last playthrough, and it works really well. I've got a lot of damage, a lot of defense, and the HP regeneration from Valhalla Knight Breastplate. If you get warding reforges, 1 or 2 defensive accessories, and do some creative armor setups, you can make a very resilient mage that sustains mana by getting hit. I was dipping in lava or running into bats just to get my mana back, particularly on projectile heavy bosses like the Wall of Flesh and Destroyer, it's really easy to stay topped up on mana. You intentionally get hit by the weak attacks in order to make sure that you never run out of mana. The other nice thing about cuffs is that they're pretty easy to get. You need a Band of Star Power, which can be crafted from a Panic Necklace in a graveyard if you're in a Crimson world. You need a Shackle, which is a shackle, and you need a Band of Regen, which is not that difficult to get. Now, this is not the easiest way to play Mage. In fact, now that whip stacking is gone, I would say that it's the most mechanically nuanced way to play any of the classes. You're micromanaging your movement, HP, mana, and trying to keep all of it in balance to never run out. And it's not going to work in every situation. Even when it does work, all that you're doing is avoiding mana sickness. It's not going to double your damage or anything, although it is very good for mana-hungry weapons like the Unholy Trident. At the end of the day, it is a pretty niche accessory. A fun one, but on most bosses, it's not going to be incredible. Even when I use cuffs, I still end up using mana regeneration potions on a lot of bosses. On some bosses, you just can't take hits that often. Duke Fishron, the Moon Lord in Phase 1 specifically, you can socket cheese in Phase 2 though. Skeletron, it's also a little less effective on bosses that summon a lot of minions like Queen Bee because they'll drop a lot of mana stars to keep you topped up. It's great for getting mana back because the minions are weak and easy to take hits from, but you don't need mana recovery as much in those fights because you just get a lot of stars. But if the boss has you running on the ground a lot, Spike Cuffs can be a pretty effective way to get mana back mid-fight. You don't have to fully commit to using cuffs on every fight, but they're really good for events, invasions, and any time that you can abuse spikes or lava. They let you play a tanky mage and get something really good in exchange. If you manage it well, you never have a period of lower damage due to mana sickness or mana regeneration, which effectively is boosting your damage and helps offset the opportunity cost of using higher defense items. And above all else, taking what should be a terrible idea and turning it into an extremely efficient source of mana is just a lot of fun. Even if it's not the most effective thing you can do, I've never had a boring playthrough when using magic cuffs.